What's going on, guys? It's the Money Talk Show with Dane, where we talk about all sorts of interesting topics having to do with money, particularly crypto and real estate here. We're working really hard to be the bridge between real estate entrepreneurs in general, and the cryptocurrency world and environment. There's a lot of people that don't understand what we feel like is the biggest opportunity over the next 3 years, that being crypto. And so we're here to help. And so make sure that you like this video, you comment, you subscribe, you do all that type of stuff. It helps with the algorithm. We really appreciate your help in that respect. With that, Corey, go ahead and take it away.
Yes, absolutely, man. I'm, right along with you. I think we have the greatest opportunity in a lifetime right now, with this market conditions that we're in. Everybody knows that we're in this middle of a bloody bear market, and we have basically the presidential elections next year. You got Bitcoin halving next year. You have probably a Fed pivot at some point in time. The Fed's not going to raise interest rates forever. It could be this year, it could be next year, but still everything lines up to next year. Even I looked at it, there's a chart that I have, and I'll show it some other show, but the average length of bear markets for the S&P 500 range from 15 to like 36 months. And right now we're about 15 months in. So if you look at it, the S&P 500 should be lining up for 2024 also. So it's just a lot of indicators that shows us we're in the right place at the right time. So, I mean, if you guys are doing real estate, other entrepreneurial type stuff, and you want to like just a little bit exposure to crypto, let us know. We can help you. Watch this show. Like you said, like and subscribe. We're going to be coming out with a lot of content to help you guys along this journey with us to creating legacy wealth via crypto. So, yeah, man.
Absolutely. And in fact, I included a banner. We'll start including this banner on a regular basis on the shows. We've got the link there that you can go ahead and schedule a call with me or Corey. We literally are the ones taking these calls. So if you want to chat with us, even if it's just a matter of kind of checking your thought processes and strategies, we're happy to lend any insight. So feel free to check out that link. Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. But before we do, those of you that are we already getting the controversy.
Yeah. Hey, I get it, man. I get it. I am diehard Richard Hart. He's my number one GOAT. He's the guy. He's going to be, 90% of my portfolio will be with Richard Hart products. But yeah, I get it, man. But there is a lot to unpeel back with this whole Zen thing. So
yeah, for sure. So those of you that are on the show, we love to see where the audience is tuning in from. It's the morning for us. Go ahead and comment in the comments where you guys are tuning in from. Love to see where you guys are at. We're going to talk today about Jack Levin versus Richard Hart, Hex versus Zen, Pulse Chain versus X1. There's a lot of things to unpack there. And the title here is obviously very clickbaity. That being said, just like Corey mentioned, we are bought into the Richard Hart hype train. We have our bags packed. Really excited about the opportunities there. We got into the early sacrifices and couldn't be more excited about what's coming there. That being said, it's been interesting to be on crypto Twitter. And man, a lot of these guys, it's really fascinating how quick they are to jump ship and go to the next shiny thing. And I think, frankly, it's relatively easy right now because Jack Levin, for all intents and purposes, appears to absolutely just be cranking stuff out, cranking projects. There's like one thing after another, after another, after another. And I know a lot of people, not us, but a lot of people feel like Richard has been spending the sacrifice money and sitting on his hands. And that couldn't be further from the truth, in my opinion, and in Corey's too, I'm sure. But it's an interesting topic to be able to address and discuss. So that's what we're going to do this morning. With that being said, we go ahead, Corey. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's very interesting. This whole Jack Levin thing, the vampire attack that everyone is saying that he did. I'll tell you, man, you gotta. He's a businessman. That's what it comes down to. He's a clever businessman, and I guarantee when he came into our community and basically infiltrated it and got in saying that he owned Hex and started coming in the Twitters and the Telegrams and started talking around with everybody, making friends with Hexicans. I think he literally did his homework and found who was the most, I guess you would say, cultish or most loyal, the most diehard crypto community that he could get into, where he knew if he pulled some of those people over to his protocols, that they would also have that cult-like following, diehard, let's do this kind of what Hexicans have, man. Hexicans are, I think, the best community in crypto, bar none. They are amazing as far as the support they will give you, as far as bringing you in and making you feel like family. But they're also very cultish in many ways. You've heard people, all the time saying that Hexicans are a cult, but I love that factor. I think it's good for crypto. It's good for the community. So Jack knew this, man, and he's a businessman. So he came in and infiltrated into our community, and he made friends with everybody. He did not mention anything of Zen in the very beginning whatsoever. He just went around talking about how he had Hex and how he likes Hex. And he even had a live stream. I don't know if you remember this with on Matty Allen's. I think it was a Hex conference or something of the sort. He had a live stream with Richard Hart on there. So, I mean, obviously, Matty does get a lot of views. He gets majority of the Hexicans watching that show. So the fact that he was able to basically infiltrate that show and get on with Matty and talk with Richard gave him so much effing clout, it's not even funny. So then all the other Hexicans started inviting him on their shows and started giving him this, reputation and started friending him, I guess you would, if you will. And then obviously, as he's building up this reputation in our community, and everyone knows that he's Google employee number 21, and then supposedly he's a billionaire. Also, he starts coming out talking about, I may create a coin. Well, I know for a fact when he came into the community, he already knew he was going to create a coin. He's just the way he was maneuvering. He was being very careful. He's very strategic. He's a businessman. And he came out
to your
with
point, he got on stream with Richard Hart. Like that's a pretty big deal. He was able to pull that off. Yeah.
Right. He was able to pull that off. And so kudos to him for that. I applaud any entrepreneur. I applaud anybody who is out there creating massive value to the world and making money. Like that's like, you were about that. Like we were born into entrepreneurship via real estate. So we understand that part of the world, right? We understand, creating value out there to make money. And that's what he is trying to do. And he knew our community, man, was the community to do it through. He didn't hit the Shiba Inu community. He didn't hit the Doge community. He came into the Hexican community because that guy knew, man. He did his homework. That's what it was, man. And you got to do that when you're a businessman. So my idea is, or my thinking is, he's creating Zen to bring in adoption around him, to bring in a massive community saying, hey, I'm going to give you this free crypto. All you got to do is pay gas to bring in as many people as possible to come in and mint this free crypto, which is ingenious because now he's got this massive community behind him and it's growing fast. You can see it in the Twitters. You can see it in the Telegrams. The Telegrams get over 20,000 people. I mean, if you look at the Pulse X Telegram, that's 60,000. So he's already 1/3 of what the Pulse X Telegram is. And the Pulse X Telegram was massive. And so he's growing fast, and he now can take that community that he built up and brought in, or they thought was free, and he can start selling them products now. Now he can sell to them. What's going to sell them? Well, okay. One, the next token a little bit, but I think actually next token you give Zen for the next token. And then now we hear about the X1 blockchain. Now, he won't be selling the X1 directly to the community, but you do sacrifice your Zen to get the X1 token. And now he can go to VCs and, very rich individuals that he knows, because he's got a network. I guarantee you some wealthy individuals here in the U.S., working for Google, employee number 21, he knows people. Like, the guy knows, people with large amounts of money. And then he can go, look, I've created this massive community. I've got a cult-like following myself, and I'm building a layer 1 blockchain. Give me money. And he can do that now, or he will be able to do that. And that was his intention from the very beginning. Don't let it fool you guys. Even though I will be participating in the Zen mints and going along with this ride with a very small portion of my portfolio, like I said, very small. I'm not going to get too crazy, but the tensions were there and from the very beginning on what he was doing. Don't let it fool you whatsoever. He is a businessman. He is smart, and he knows what the end goal is. The end goal is to raise massive VC money.
And he's doing a lot of the same things that Richard has. Like, the way that Richard is operated continues to show that Richard is the GOAT. Make no mistake about it. Richard and team are riding the Ethereum coattails with the code base that's been created there. And that's how they're able to make Pulse Chain, which is ingenious. I think it's a great idea. You can build off of things that already exist rather than trying to recreate the wheel. And Jack is doing the same thing with Richard. And so it's pretty remarkable to see. And we're big proponents, of not being maxis. Like Corey said, Zen is a very small portion of our holdings. And, we're not bending over backwards to jump all in and ape into Zen. But there's some interesting things going on there. And I think it would be foolish to not at least pay attention. So a lot of interesting things that some more details we'll jump into that I want to discuss. But before we do, we've got a few of our guys on the stream. Appreciate you jumping in. Alon, if I'm pronouncing Alon, tell us how we pronounce that. Hello from Sweden. Alon. I'm 100% degen on RH and his projects. Amen. We're with you there. Jack is doing his thing. RH will do his. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Red Squirrel jumping in. Appreciate you jumping in, Red Squirrel. We've got Harmonic Hexkin. Any of you guys that are watching the show that haven't commented, tell us where you're from. We love to see where people are tuning in, or give a quick hello. All that stuff helps the algorithm. We'd love your guys' insights also. Feel free to comment below what you think about Zen and their ecosystem.
Yep. Let us know if you hate them. Let us know if you love them.
Yeah, we want to know all that. In fact, if you missed it, here's a
we got one that hates them. That's cool.
Yeah, and that's fair. Yeah, that's fine. You like what you like. So this will be good. I want to share a couple of tweets that I found yesterday that were interesting. Let's go ahead.
Now, while you're doing that, I want to give a full disclosure here, guys. It's almost financial advice. Obviously, it's not financial advice. Don't buy Zen. Never buy it. Even though we're talking about it on this show and we're talking about minting it, never buy the damn thing. You'll just get wrecked. If you participate in the minting when the GUI, in my opinion, is 15 or below. And there's ways you set your GUI to a max GUI. So like what I'll do is I'll set my max GUI to 13, and then I'll let it sit over the weekend until that, basically to that limit order, kind of, if you will, gets filled. So just be careful with it, guys.
Yeah, and that's a great point. So Trayvon James is a very polarizing character. He was big on Hex. Haven't heard a peep from him about Hex for quite a long while now, and he's gone full-blown Zen. Yeah, a lot of FUD. He's a lot of FUD around Zen, and he's been just clamoring for another stream between Richard Hart and Jack Levin. And so I wanted to get your insights on this, Corey, and you guys too. Comment below. I'll give mine really quick. So I've seen a number of tweets where people are like, "Oh, Richard and Jack need to get back on a stream and battle it out." Look, like, what does Richard Hart have to gain from streaming with Jack? Like, Jack already vampire attacked the Hex community. I could be wrong, but I don't think that Jack has a huge following that Richard hasn't already largely tapped, that he could gain more people, more views, which Richard has said is really important to him, that he could get more people to help listen to him and he can educate them from a stream with Jack. And Richard is the one that brings the most value in that conversation, in my opinion, as far as followers and community. Richard Richard does not stand to benefit heavily from another stream with Jack. Whereas Jack, if I were Jack, by all means, he's looking to vampire attack some more. And so that's my thoughts on a lot of these tweets going around. What are yours, Corey?
100%. I agree with that. I don't think they should even entertain any live streaming and debating until Pulse Chain is launched. I think Pulse Chain launching and seeing some massive green candles behind Pulse Chain launching, because there'll be some massive green candles, especially in the beginning. And there might also be some sell-off, so be careful with that. DCA but with massive green candles and Pulse Chain launching, if Richard were to debate him at that point, he has a lot more, I guess you'd say,
More
clout
ammo.
backing, more ammo. Yes. And so and then maybe with the intention, of course, of debating him so he could crush Jack in a lot of his, whatever arguments he brings to the table. So it would be an interesting debate to see, and I wouldn't mind watching that. But I would want it to happen after Pulse Chain launches, and let the guys work. I mean, let Jack wants to be out building his X1, let him do it, and then let Richard do his thing. Richard's been kind of quiet lately, which has been nice. I like that because it just kind of shows me, I think, that he is working in the background, meeting with the team, making sure that everything is running up and going. So let Richard do his thing. I don't think he needs to be sidetracked right now with debating Jack Levin. Like, let's get Pulse Chain out. That is the goal. These debates are not what Richard's all about. I mean, of course he's about it, but his goal, number one priority, is getting Pulse Chain out. And let's get that going. Let's see some green candles. Okay, now you got a little vacation, Richard. You can hang back for a minute because stuff is running good. Go and debate Jack Levin. And, he does, Richard always does say, bring my heroes here to die, or bring your heroes here to die. And so, okay, if Trayvon wants to bring his hero, Jack Levin, to Richard to die, let's do it after Pulse Chain. So,
yeah. And it's just baffling to me how, it's funny. I've seen a lot of these tweets, and these ones are spot on, in my opinion, where a lot of these guys are like, oh, Richard made you wealthy, and so now you can go turn your back on him and chase the next shiny object. And in my opinion, I think that's accurate for a lot of these guys, not to
100%.
point fingers, but gosh, I think it's incredibly important that people are careful about narratives they follow, people they follow on social media. It's all propaganda, and you choose what propaganda you expose yourself to by choosing who you follow, what information you consume. And so make sure that you're consuming information that leads you to what you feel like are going to be the best results in your life. So really important. We've got a number of people that have tuned in. Harmonic Hexakin once again is in. She says, more DeFi, the better. Opens more markets and reaches more people. Sure. Amen. I couldn't agree more. And a lot of these guys, man, frankly, I'm about Zen. If we get freaking Zen over on Pulse Chain, and specifically on Pulse X, and people in there minting and swapping and doing whatever they're going to do, we sacrificed a lot for Pulse X. I'm about that. Pump my Pulse X bags with the buy and burn. So many people are missing the main point here. We want more adoption. And if Jack will come in and we can use that adoption to be able to get more eyes over on Pulse Chain and Pulse X, well, please come pump my bags. We're about that.
Yeah.
So
and
great point.
Too, I want to point out to that is Zen comes on Pulse Chain. What it's done for Ethereum is made it deflationary. Without Zen, Ethereum would have been inflationary because of the EIP 1559, I think it's called. which so we're forking Ethereum. And so right now, as it stands, Pulse Chain can be inflationary. With Zen on there and everyone beating on the chain, trying to mint Zen all day long, we can make Pulse Chain deflationary. And I love this because I'm going to be a node validator. And so, of course, I'm receiving some of that inflation. We're going to be node validators. And so, like, let Zen community come on here and burn the crap out of Pulse Chain. Let's go.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's so important to understand. It's funny to me how people get bent out of shape so quick, rather than looking at the opportunities that are presented and figuring out how to leverage them. So we'll talk about that in a little bit here. In fact, have you been following Buck? You're the one that brought it up to me the other day. Okay, let's talk about Buck next. Let's go through some of the comments, but we'll talk about that next. I think that's an important thing.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Red Squirrel from the Green Hills of England. Cool, Red Squirrel. Appreciate you tuning in. It's evening over there, I think is what you said earlier. So great to have you here. Tin Top's always here. What's up, Hexicans? Grateful to have you on.
Squirrel, can you reach out to us? I want to get you on the show. If you don't, if you do YouTube shows, let us know. We would love to get you on to talk about some of your strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we'll DM you. Let's DM him today. In fact, while I'm going through the comments, do you want to shoot him a quick DM on Twitter?
Yeah.
Cool. And I'll go through these. Tin Top, I only consume info from people that are wise and want to lift people up around them. That is why I'm here. Amen. I'm with you there. Spot on, Tin Top. Love that. Human Hex Trafficker says, Tin Top, agreed. Absolutely. Cool. All right. So with that being said, let's talk about opportunities next and how to leverage different ecosystems. Let me go ahead and share my screen again.
And Red Squirrel, I need you to friend on Twitter so we could I can DM you. You have your DM shut down, or you have to follow me back.
Cool. All right. So Buck with Famous. If you guys don't know Buck,
yeah.
Buck is out
this
there.
Is fun.
This is fun.
So much fun.
So Buck is great. Buck's out there building. They have Fiat, they have Famous, they have Fatty, a lot of really cool applications coming to Pulse Chain, and some of it to Ethereum, as far as they've said.
Yep.
So
I love all products.
Yes, we're a big fan. We have participated in all of it, and so you guys can do your own research and come and check him out here. Corey, go ahead and talk about what Buck did his stream earlier this week.
So yeah, he did a stream with GRC earlier this week talking about how he is going to vampire attack the vampire. It's going to be quite interesting. So his goal is, and he's not going to mention who he's bringing on for the ride, is get a handful of builders in the Pulse Chain community to go over and build, and maybe even VC in the X1 community, and then vampire the economic energy and bridge it back over to Pulse Chain. So that's what he would like to do. He's on a mission to do it. He's determined, man. If you really want to hear him dive deep on how his plan is to do that, you can watch the GC stream this week that he dived into it. And I've been in the Telegram chats. It's funny, man. I hang out in all the Telegram chats, man. I'm always just a fly in the wall, listening in, because you get a lot of good information, man. There's a lot of good stuff and all these different projects. When the chats are hopping and vibing, and I see them coming in to the X1 Telegram chat, and he's also just listening in. And so he is strategically planning, how he's going to vampire the vampire. And so it's going to be fun to see all this play out. So yeah.
I love it, man. And it's just more adoption. Like we talked about earlier, Pulse Chain and PulseX, we could heavily leverage X1 and Jack. He's going to be building a separate community to come and pump all of our bags. And that being said, I think it's important that, a lot of people, and me included, it's easy to get stuck in this silo where all you do is follow Richard Hart people and people building on Pulse Chain. But those aren't the guys that need to hear the Richard Hart message, right? It's the guys that aren't aware of what's being built over here and what we have going on. And we need to be spreading the word. And that's one of the reasons we do this show and we have our private group. But man, if you have the opportunity to be able to share the good word of Richard Hart and Pulse Chain and Pulse X and Hex, then you should. Like, there's a very unique opportunity. And in fact, I helped one of my friends and I, we helped onboard a few people into crypto, into Hex near the top. Well, those people don't want to have anything to do with it at this point. Like, they're burned, like it hurts to have an asset that you bought go down 95% in value. And the opportunity to be able to onboard people now when we're very near, maybe we've already seen the bottom, I don't know. But gosh, the downside is very limited right now, with the upside being massively high. And so now is the time to be talking about people, in my opinion, to be able to help them understand what's going on with Richard Hart and Pulse Chain and Pulse X and Hex. And if you like Zen, you can talk to them about that, but it's an opportunity. And so if you're part of other communities, talk to them about it. I think it's a pretty freaking exciting time.
Yep. Amen to that. And yeah, Buck went on to talk about how, most of the Zen community, since it was vampire attacks from Jack, are Hatzikin. And so a lot of these guys, and he famous, or Buck talked about when people follow green candles. And so when Pulse Chain is pumping and it's just getting all the buzz, and it's like everyone's got all these projects that came out and all of that pumping the chain, it's just, man, it's gonna be fireworks when it launches. I really believe that a lot of these people over here on the X1, or minting Zen or playing with Nex, whatever it is they're doing in that little ecosystem, that a lot of that economic energy will naturally come back to the Pulse Chain side of things, because people follow green candles. People do the opposite. What they should do, you're supposed to do the opposite. You're supposed to go buy red candles and sell green candles if you're interested in selling. But you should be buying red candles, not buying green. But everyone else does it backwards. So we'll see the majority of the crowd, kind of flip flop. And we might see even a reverse action if X1 starts pumping and Pulse Chain's on just on a correction. You can see some people going back the other way, and it's going to be interesting to see the people, going one way or the other, converting. I mean, it's I don't even know how it's going to play out, but it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely, it'll be cool.
Yeah.
So once again, we've minted a bunch of Zen. There's some cool things going on over there. We're gonna, I'm sure, get some X1 and some
I don't ever really think Zen could have any value, at least not in the short term. Like, obviously it has this 8-year cycle that it's going to play out. So like, I don't think there's any value, I think, directly on Zen in the short term, other than giving it away for the X1 chain. Is my opinion, and that's what I'm minting mainly for, is for the X1. Before, I was minting in the idea of like, okay, this could be a 2-cycle coin, where this cycle it's not going to be worth hardly anything, because this cycle's coming up pretty quick. We're probably 2025 will be here quick, right? So there'll be a lot of minting, and obviously gas fees. There's one factor to consider. Gas fees could go up so high during our next bull run that people stop minting, and it forces them to buy it if they want to participate in any kind of ecosystem with Jack, whether it's token or the X1. So there could be some pumpamental from that, because the gas GUI is going to jump through the roof. But in general, you can just mint it to your heart's content. And so, but what the X1 now coming out, you're able to give all that mint and get the X1 token in exchange. And the X1 won't be inflationary. I do believe it's deflationary. It's like 1 billion is ever going to only exist in existence. He's got some put aside for what's called grants for people to build on Pulse Chain. So if you go to come and build on Pulse Chain, you get a little bit of X1 building. I think Polygon has exercised this model for get the people build on Polygon, which is kind of interesting.
He has grants to build on X1 or Pulse Chain. You said Pulse Chain, but on X1,
X1,
right?
sorry, grants for X1. That's I'm sorry I said Pulse Chain, but Jack Levin has grants for building on X1. So, and then he's going to have obviously a large portion put aside for VCs, and then he's got a portion put aside for obviously us when we basically sacrifice. He's not calling it sacrifice. To me, it's just sacrifice. You sacrifice your Zen to get X1, and that sacrifice is going to go on for about 30 months is what they're talking about. Now, this is subject to change. We're not sure yet when it's going to happen, but it's about 30 months. So I'm just minting max mint Zen day, max turn days, max VMUs on those NFTs, which are really cool because you could do them in 128 VMUs in one NFT. Throw it out there, do a set of 13 Gwei on the weekend, so that way the order gets filled for as cheap as possible, which right now it's around $500 to $550 if you hit it the 13 Gwei. And then, and then I'll just take all that when it comes out. I'll keep a little bit of for just in case there is some kind of moon bag with Zen. I doubt there could be with the gas thing, but majority of it will be given to the X1 token for me. So
sure, no, I like it. Cool. Well, let's jump into Richard Hart. Richard Hart is tweeting out this morning. Did you see Richard's tweet this morning, Corey, about the blocks or the clients, I should say, for Pulse Chain?
No, let's take a look at it.
All right, let's do that.
This is exciting, man. I'm getting my node validator ready. I think it shipped yesterday. I bought a computer specifically for a node validator on Pulse Chain. So I'm super excited. Got Gamma helping me. We had Gamma on the show the other day. If you guys haven't seen that show, it was fire. Go back and watch it. He did go deep into being a node validator. So like all this stuff that Richard's talking about right now with the different clients and all that stuff, it references to us node validators. So it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And really quick, Red Squirrel followed you back, so we'll be reaching out to you, Red Squirrel, to have you on. That being said, too, any of you guys that are watching the show, if you have a particular skill set or value that you bring that you'd like to talk about on stream, we're looking for more people. So feel free to send us a DM. I've got my link here.
Yeah, if you got a great story too, like if you're a Hex OG and you were maybe a Bitcoin OG, whatever, if you just got a story that was you've been around a crypto for a while, we want to hear it. I love hearing stories, man, because that's how we learn. I've been in crypto, for maybe a year and a half, 2 years now, so not nearly as long as a lot of you guys. So we want to hear your stories. I love hearing the stories of the early days, and that's why when Randy is going to come on Monday, guys. So we'll have Randy Hilarski on Monday. He's got so many great stories of crypto in the early days, and it's just fun to hear it because I wasn't around then. I was doing real estate.
Right.
Real estate in that time. So,
and even if you're newer like us and you've got a story to share about coming in and talking about your background, we want to hear about it. I think a lot of community members want to hear those stories. That's how you build community, right? So let us know. We'd love to have you on. Simon says Zen is my lottery ticket.
That's all it is for me, Simon.
That's how we're treating it too.
My belief in my heart is in the RH ecosystem. That's where it lies. But I'm going to go over here, and if I can vampire attack some economic energy and bring it over to Pulse Chain, well, then so be it. I will, because that's what I'm going to do.
That's right. Cool. So Richard is tweeting this morning, and so he says less than 1 million blocks to go on stage 7 of 16 of the Aragon client sync. Geth, EBS snapshots are done, Prism flags and configuration are done. So let me, Corey, I want you to add on to this, but let me give a really quick synopsis of why this is important. And if any of you in the comments are devs and you understand this better than us, we'd love your feedback also. But my understanding with an order for the way that Ethereum is built, it has what's called clients, and there's 4 of them. And in order to go and fork Ethereum and for the chain to run the same and get all the Ethereum updates and all that type of stuff, Richard and team are copying all 4 of the clients, the back-end systems to be able to run Pulse Chain and they're, it appears like they're doing upgrades and making some changes. He's indicating that 2 of the 4 clients appear to be either done or very close to being done, and that they're currently syncing the Aragon client. Is that accurate, Corey? I know you've gone a little
That
bit
is
more down the
accurate.
rabbit hole here.
I have. So you have 4 different clients for the consensus part of the network, and then you have 4 different clients for the execution. And the reason why I want different clients is for basically diversification is the main reason, because if you have everybody running their nodes, operating their node validator off of one consensus client and one execution client, and there happens to be a bug or something goes down, then the whole network goes down. So you want diversification on different clients. So that way, if something happens, the network can still run. We can still, operate. Or, ideally, you want 100% uptime. Richard's king about 100% uptime. And this is the way to do it, is through diversification. Now, each client has a little bit different the way they run. They operate under different program code, like ones in, you got Geth, you got Rust, you got Go. Like there's just different. And I don't know all the intricacies of all that quite yet. I'm learning and reading about it. I'm having he's going to be teaching me more one-on-one with how to do, which ones are better and to use. I think he uses Prism and Geth for his 2 clients. So, but yeah, that's the main thing. You want all of them there for diversity, for just making sure the chain can stay up 100% of the time. If there was a problem in one of them, you're good to go, because you're obviously got the other ones running. And yeah, it's just super bullish. It sounds like to me from that they're about 3/4 the way there. It is what when you read that, I can't really see it from here, but it sounds like they're about 3/4 of the way done, meaning that as soon as the Aragon client is done syncing, that he's probably ready to go ahead and launch testnet.
Right. The version 3. Agreed.
Right.
If there's some more dev stuff they need to do that they run into, they will. But man, as far as all the updates we've been getting, I'm with you. It feels like once they have all the clients synced and ready to rock, I imagine they probably go to V3, especially since it's just a test net. Like if there's things that break or there's issues, you can always solve those after the fact. But this will give everybody the opportunity to get in and start testing. And we're going to be doing a lot of content on using V3, how to do everything. So that'll be a lot of fun too.
Yep, absolutely. So I'll be setting up a node validator on the test net when V3 comes out to practice, and understand what the heck I'm doing. Free money, because anytime you're going to do anything on mainnet, whether it's just swapping around and you're not comfortable with, how to do that yet, do it on the test net. This is going to be our opportunity and everyone's opportunity to get in there and do stuff for free, including running a node validator. Like the only thing that's going to cost me basically is my computer and my energy and my time to do it. And so I can learn how to do this for free, basically, before mainnet launches. And at that time, then, well, now you got to put the money where your mouth's at, and you got to buy 32 million pulse to run that node validator. So it's going to be fun. And I'm so excited for V3. Yeah, man, I'm gonna have some late nights, that's for sure.
Oh, it's gonna be, yeah, it'll be cool. Correct me if I'm wrong, Corey, but I believe Ethereum, don't they have 12-second blocks, or is it this 10?
No, that's 12 seconds for Ethereum. We are going to have 10-second blocks.
So that's cool. Yeah, Richard is showing here on the Block Explorer. He's talked about massaging in, a little bit better block time. So we're seeing that here from a screenshot. So that's bullish, and it's working. You can see the blocks working. I mean, we're freaking close to V3. It'll be a lot of fun.
You will notice a huge difference in transaction time, because even though Ethereum has 12-second blocks, a lot of the times when you submit your transaction, you have many blocks passing you by before it picks up your transaction, because the GUI, it's so competitive. It's auction style. And you're waiting in line like an auction, and everyone's bidding to get their transaction done. And Ethereum is so congested that a lot of times you'll have multiple blocks pass by before one picks you up and validates your transaction. Where in Pulse Chain, it's not going to be congested. They're diluting Pulse 1,000,000 to 1 on the Ethereum as far as supply. And it's going to be, you're going to notice a difference. Your transactions are going to be going through. They're timely. It's just going to be amazing, man. And in 10 seconds, you'll notice a huge difference going to Pulse Chain from Ethereum. So it's super exciting, man.
Yeah, we're freaking close. We got Doc Lover in. Appreciate you joining. Join late. Unfortunately, even though I minted some Zen, I'm not as convinced as most are on price action over the next few years to present. This is a roulette wheel.
Absolutely, Doc Clover. Just give your Zen then for the X1. Just if you don't believe in it long term, you're not going to understand why. Just go ahead and give it over, sacrifice it for the X1 because that will be a deflationary token, and that is a layer 1 blockchain token. So you just go ahead and give it to that if you don't believe in it.
Yeah, and in fact, if you pushed your mints out max term, you're not going to have it available for X1, at least when it launches, which probably isn't a big deal. Like Corey said earlier in the show, they're talking about a 30-month like sacrifice period. So just like Jack did with Zen, there's not a huge rush to get in. There's not a huge benefit to being like a day one Zenner. And it appears like he's doing the same thing with X1. I don't think there's, at least from what we can tell so far, there's not a huge advantage to being like a super early X1 person.
Yep.
Crypto Dave asked 3/4 of the way. They're starting from when? It's a great question. Do you know this answer specifically, Corey? Let me look up here on Richard's Twitter. So Richard started tweeting about the block updates on, we've got updates from January 5th, January 18th. I'm going to say it's probably about January 18th. And that would line up with the stream that we did yesterday where Richard did a stream. It appears like mid-January where he estimated that version 3 of testnet was potentially about 3 weeks away. And so all of this is kind of lining up with that time frame where we very well, if that time frame plays out, and Richard admittedly has said, that could be wrong. But if that time frame plays out, then 3/4 of the way from just a few weeks ago, that would put testnet sometime potentially this week, probably more next week or the following, though, as long as there's not more dev updates. So that'll be interesting to see. Great question.
Yeah, and I say it because he's got most of the clients synced and he's waiting on Aragon.
Yeah. Corey jumped in. What's up, Corey? It's great to have you on today. Appreciate you jumping in. I hope that over the next 6 months, I come to see what others seem to know about Zen potential. Until then, I will continue to learn about the progress of the various components of Zen. I like this comment a lot, man. So I'll give you an example. When we got into Hex, there was and this is a hill that I am willing to die on as far as what we know now. If you have a different perspective, I'd love to hear it. And I'm happy to eat a big piece of humble pie if I'm wrong. But man, I remember jumping in Twitter when I was new to Hex and guys are saying, oh, you just mint for 15, or you just stake for 15 years. You buy your Hex and you stake it for 15 years. And there are all these bragging rights for doing that. And there are all these bragging rights for buying the dip. And you had all these poor suckers buying the price the whole way down over this last year to a year and a half. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, gosh, I don't get it. I don't understand why you would be buying the dip the whole way down when if you understood crypto market cycles, you could just wait about a year to a year and a half and then start your DCA, have an infinitely better buy-in position. And why would you not do that? And similarly with the Hex staking, now I'm a huge advocate of Hex. Hex is great. And Corey and I have very significant holdings in Hex and we have a lot of it staked. However, that being said, you just if you're willing to pay attention and you have any emotional stamina in your body or you can build any, you're just going to do way better buying HEX, staking it out till near the market top in 2025. Maybe it pushes into 2026, selling HEX, taking profits, and then waiting another year to a year and a half and rinsing and repeating. There is no yield in HEX that will outpace a 90 to a 95% dip. There is none. Even with the T-share rate changing, I get all that stuff, but you will just do infinitely better from the data we have so far by doing that. Now, once again, you got to know yourself. If you're somebody and you're like, I just know that I'm weak and emotional in regards to like my investment thesis and strategy, then stake out forever. By all means, if that works for you, you're not gonna hear any hate from us. That's great if that's something that you want. But to Doc Lover's point, I think it's really important that if there's a narrative that's not sticking in your head and it's not making sense, well, then like stick to your instincts, stick to your guns, figure out why that is. I think it's important to try to put some math behind those instincts to be able to verify whether or not they're accurate. Because in the end of the day, we're all here to make money. Make no mistake about it. And ego keeps a lot of freaking people from making money. We've seen it a ton of times in real estate. People's ego gets in the way. We see it a lot in crypto. And so it's really important that you follow your instincts. My instincts are almost always right. And I imagine that you guys watching, you probably had a lot of those similar experiences.
100%, man. I agree with that, totally wholeheartedly. You have instincts and you're going against it because just you're following the narrative. Well, then that's how you end up losing money. It's there's a reason why you're having that instinct. And so, yeah, come up with your own, thesis or your own version of the story, and yeah, you got to come to your own conclusions and don't listen to everybody else.
Yep, absolutely. My mint are a year out, so we'll just wait and see what happens. I like that. I think that's a fine play. It didn't cost a fortune to get in, nor a lot of time. Like it's a small bet with
a lottery ticket.
Yeah, I like it. Crypto Dave, thanks. Good to hear progress is being made. Amen. That's one thing that I wish we saw more from Richard Hart. Now, Richard's working, like Corey said, let the guy work, but love more freaking updates. Love more information
to the community. This is something to talk about real quick that we missed. With this whole Jack Levin, Richard Hart thing. We started noticing Richard Hart putting out all these updates and all this progress going on when Jack Levin started talking about the X1 chain. Now, it could be completely a coincidence. Could be. I don't know. Probably not. I'm sure RH he's been working, but then like he saw Jack doing this and putting the X1, and then he's like, RH has got ego too, man. He wants to win. This guy is all about winning, and he will not let someone else beat him. And I love that about him. That's how winners are born. Right? You refuse to lose. And so like that's why I think some of these updates are coming out is because the show rub it in Jack Levin's face like, hey man, it's coming. Because there was a Twitter space where Jack Levin and
he went after Richard.
He said that Richard was not launching Pulse Chain, that he stole the sacrifice money and it was not coming out. And immediately that night is one of the first updates we got. And so, yeah.
Yeah. We're forever grateful to you, Jack, if that was indeed the reason we got updates out of Richard. And thank you, Richard. Red Squirrel says, I'll happily be proven wrong about, but at the moment I see Zen as proof of gullibility. I think that's fair. It'll be interesting. Time will tell.
It is proof of gullibility because that's what he's doing. He's building the community via this. Hey guys, come get it for free. Blah, blah, blah. And then now he's got the X1 chain. That X1 chain was in his back pocket the whole entire time, even though he says, oh, no, I'm creating it because other people asked me to create it. No, you didn't.
Right. Agreed. Crypto Dave says, what about HEX unstaking fees, Maximus perpetuals? Absolutely. So you could go ahead and mitigate those unstaking fees by using the perpetuals. I think that's a great strategy. Absolutely.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the perpetuals. Also, something to consider, you can do HSIs, and then you can sell those HSIs in OpenSea, or you could turn them into ICOSA. As long as ICOSA is around the peg, You don't want to turn it in if Icosa loses the peg to hex. As long as you're somewhere in the realm of the peg, you can turn it in for an Icosa, and you can also exit your position that way. So there's a couple of different options for you with the whole gas fee stuff that, on the Ethereum. And plus, you got Pulse Chain. You got your copies coming. We know that. It's part of the narrative, but we got Pulse Chain, and we're not going to worry about any unstaking fees, especially anywhere near the near future. Maybe 10 years out, who knows by then. But, yeah, anywhere in the near future, we're going to be good. So.
Yeah, and one big factor to keep in mind with Icosa, if you're going to consider selling an HSI stake and getting Icosa with the intention of taking profits, one thing you need to factor into that equation is the liquidity. The liquidity in Icosa right now is very thin. And so there's not an opportunity there to take large profits unless you do something that's a little bit more sophisticated with liquidity providing and some of those things. We're not going to go down the rabbit hole there, but keep that in mind as part of your strategy in what you're doing and how you're building your portfolio.
That's a great strategy.
Big fans of Icosa and Hedron, though. Really like Icosa.
Big fans. And that's a great strategy. And I think the liquidity pool will get built up over time, especially as more and more of these stakes come out. But, man, what a great way to exit your position, to sell your HSI stake like Icosa. It's peg to hex. And then you go open up a one-sided liquidity position to exit out. I mean, that's like you can exit out a pretty large position doing that if you don't mind waiting a little bit.
Right. As long as you're earlier to the selling, you're not selling as the market's falling. You gotta, if you're doing a single-sided position to sell on Uniswap, for instance, you need to front run the selling so that people can sell through your position to take profits. Right. Jason, appreciate you tuning in. Jason, great conversation on crypto market cycles. I completely agree. Got to take profits. Absolutely.
That's what we're here for. That's why we came in. Money brought me to crypto. Now, obviously, I'm going to be having a lot of fun being a node validator and learning liquidity providing and all the ins and outs of this technology that I feel like will change the world. But, man, why am I here? What's the real reason why I got here? Well, it's for money. Let's be honest.
For the gains. So. That's right. Cool. Well, that being said, is there anything specific you want to tackle today, Corey?
No, man, I think we hit it. It's almost been an hour. We can kind of end it here. Guys, we do got Jesse tomorrow on. I would advise tuning in. This guy is just a brain full of knowledge. Guys, like, love the big brains, man. I learned so much. And he started with liquid loans. He really helped bootstrap that protocol with the sacrifice and educating people on how to use it the correct way. And now he's doing the same for Power City. And as you guys might have heard recently, and we also talked about on our show, that Power City is going to be doing something similar with the Pulse X token, where you could open a vault with Pulse X and you could do a never sell strategy with your Pulse X holdings. Very similar to what Liquid Loans is to Pulse. So we'll be diving into a little bit of that stuff tomorrow. This guy is just a wealth full of knowledge. So we got him tomorrow. And then another announcement, Friday, we won't have a show, guys. Friday, me and Dane will be in Houston for a real estate event, trying to educate as many entrepreneurs we possibly can about crypto. This is where we come from, is real estate. So that's obviously who we know, and we're going to educate those guys about this beautiful asset class we call crypto. So Friday, and then Monday we got Randy Holarski. So there's some announcements for you, and it's going to be a fun time. So
yeah, absolutely. A couple of comments here. Let's address these before we jump over. I think these are good. RH is my man, but I think competition is good. But I think we're at a point where we see which coin will prosper. Remind me of Black Planet and Facebook days. Absolutely.
This is it, man. This is it. But I got my money on RH. But I think, man, they can both do well. The crypto space is so huge. And look how many layer ones are out there now. And a majority of them did like a 600 to 1,000x. Like, there's so many of them. And they both could do really well. And with Jack Levin's connections and all his money and everything else, he could obviously do well with his layer one. And then Richard, I mean, we got 150 projects built for Pulse Chain right now, and we're forking in the area with all their previous projects. Like, I don't see how it's not successful. Now, it's not financial advice. It could happen, but I think they both could do well too. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Room for everybody to do, or room for those two to do well. Absolutely. Yeah, competition is good. Absolutely.
Competition is
Cool.
good, man. I love it. So
Yeah, absolutely cool. With that, you guys, we'll go ahead and let you guys go, and we'll see you on the next show.